Welcome to Off-Grid 101. I'm Steve. This is my AGT CRT-23 mini skid steer. I recently got this at auction. Had a little bit of headaches with it. Brand new machine, had a number of problems. Been working to get those diagnosed and fixed. Today we're going to be diagnosing and replacing these spool valves. This machine came with defective spool valves. This is apparently a really common issue with the CRT-23 these days. They're delivering a lot of defective units. The issue that it's been having is that it's binding up when pressing the levers forward.
It seems to be fighting itself.
And it was 3 out of the 4 control levers that had that issue.
It fights itself.
It could be just a maladjusted spool internally. This is my first time ever working on a hydraulic system, and I decided rather than opening up these valves and trying to figure out how to adjust them properly and detaching, reattaching, diagnosing, the simpler thing would be just to replace them with brand new spool valves. And at the same time, I decided to go for joystick controls, which I think is a much more intuitive control system. Rather than controlling 4 levers with 2 hands, you just have 1 lever in each hand to control your tracks and your bucket. This is gonna be a fun one. It's my first time working with hydraulics. Spoiler is a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. Hydraulic systems are actually pretty simple systems as long as you get the right parts, know the specification of the system that you're working with. It's pretty much plug and play. That said, let's take this thing apart and get it working again. Let's dive in. First thing I'm going to do is match up all my front valves and the side here. Just want to make sure I'm aligned. Ooh, no. This is flipped. My P side and my T side are flipped on this. I'm going to have to be here, not here. Okay. So I'm gonna have to go mirror image on this. Actually, just this. These controls, I think, are gonna be equivalent for these 4 ports. But this guy is gonna have to go here. Hope I have room for that. Don't actually think that's going to be a big deal. I can get these guys flipped. So first thing I'm going to do is pop these ports in.
Here's a diagram of the hydraulic system that I made to give you a better idea of what's going on. Zooming in, you can see that the P and T are oriented to the left and right. That's your pump inlet on the left and then your tank outlet on the right. Now on the new spool valves, which you can see here, the pump inlet is on the right and the tank is on the left. That means I'm going to have to flip those hoses coming in from the pump and going out to the tank. That poses a little bit of a problem because some of those hoses are fixed lengths and have different positions on the machine. And that's what I'm going to have to figure out here.
These plugs have little O-rings. I'm assuming they stay with the plug, because these BSPP fittings have their own O-rings. So this spool valve is all 1/2-inch BSPP. A lot of these are like 3/8 on the front, 1/2-inch on the in and out. Very close. Let me squeeze in here. I think I'm gonna get these guys on before I don't think I need to get this in my vise. This is pretty darn tight as it is.
One thing that I learned after buying these spool valves is that the OEM spool valves are actually 3/8 inch all around. So if you went for the ones that have 3/8 fittings, you're going to save some money by not having to buy new adapters for the entire thing.
I'm going to call that good enough. For right now, this guy.
It's good enough to test it with anyway. I am going to have to get this guy. That's that. I don't know what that was. I'm going to have to get that guy figured out. I think this one was also a DIN fitting on the outside. That's enough to get started with. Let's go get this in the machine. That sucks. So another side effect of this is this control is going to be set back, so my openings in my top panel aren't going to match up. I think what I'm going to have to ultimately do is make a mounting block that pulls this out. But for right now, I'm just going to put one bolt in it. This one ties into the other side. So I'll pull this guy over first. That might be slightly too long now. Well, I think that when this one flips on the other one, it should be fine. So what I'm probably going to do is on this side, they're all going to flip because my controls are also flipping. What I was talking about there is the left side control valve. In the old configuration that you see here, the left lever is controlling the left spool, which goes to the bucket up down, and the right lever is controlling the motor. Well, on the new control, that's flipped because pushing forward and backward on the joystick controls the left spool, where right and left controls the right spool. And so what I've had to do is I've had to move the motor controls onto the left spool and then the bucket controls onto the right spool. Additionally, I'm going to have to flip the right spool up and down because pushing to the right, the joystick to the right, will move the spool down, which is actually what I want to be bucket up, which used to be pulling the lever back. And so that way, when I move my joysticks in, that's going to be bucket up and curl, and when I move them out, it's going to be bucket down and dump. None of that applies to the right control valve though, because forward and back is still controlling my left spool, which the inside levers used to control the motors. So on the right side, the motor controls stay the same, and for dump and curl, the lever motions actually just happen to line up, so I'm not going to have to flip anything there. So these AB ports just go back in exactly as they were in the old control valves. So we just have that last line we're going to have to get on there. There it is. That's a joystick control. Eventually. Alright, that one's almost done. Let's work on this guy. Little plugs are nice. It's not going to save a ton of oil, but at least it'll keep stuff from getting in your lines. Okay, this is going to be my bucket up and down. So backward and forward are going to stay vertically the same. These two are going to flip vertically. So this guy's going to be on the bottom, this guy's going to be on the top, which I think actually works out because this hard line will work much better on the top. I'll bring it over the top of this guy. So for this one, I think I need an angle adapter. Didn't light nail the female. Could probably get this on. That hose really doesn't want to be bent like that. So we're gonna make a couple brackets. I'm gonna cut this bracket up. This is something I made a few years ago and never used. I want these plates to be 4.5 by 5. So I could get the top two mirror image. The bottom one's going to be a tough one to figure out. Oh boy. Well, that sucks.
It's too small.
Yeah, it's too far apart.
Oh.
I needed them both coming in because it's mounting. The mount is going to be the same basic height as this. So of course, but I did want it to come down a little. What do I want to do here? My options are
to bring this one up or to bring this one down a little. I think I'm just going to weld a little flap on here. Next up, I got a couple of 90-degree fittings just to reroute some of the hoses because they're not really fitting great with the new positions of them all. So we're going to get in there and do that. And then I made a couple of brackets. These will push the new spool valves away from that firewall, and that'll give me the space that I need for them to come up in the centers of the holes through the dashboard. So I'm going to get these on, I'm going to get those mounted, and I'm going to get these fittings installed. Then we're basically done. I ordered some handles, some like nice joystick handles. Those are going to come in a couple weeks. Maybe I'll give an update with those on. But for right now, I think this is going to do the trick. Let's get in it. All right, this is a L15 that goes back to the hydraulic cooler, and that is right now pressing right between this auxiliary spool valve and the muffler. There's a better view of it. It's really pressed against the muffler. I'm worried about the heat, and then just there's a little kink in it. So what I'm going to do is turn it 90 degrees this way, have it come around back the way it was originally down the side here. That's one, and then I got an L12 for up here. What I'm going to do is put a 90-degree fitting and have that'll have a much smoother curve in it, so it won't be kinked like that. There we go. Much better. Now we'll get that hose up top. So what I'm going to do with this is come off this guy at 90 degrees. So first thing first, I'm going to turn this 90 into a 180. So I got that fitting on. Now I'm going to pop it right in there.
quick view on the inside, guys, to show you. This is the back of those mounting brackets, there and there. And here you can see that L15 that we turned to a 180-degree bend. I added that 90-degree up top, and it rerouted that hydraulic line around the muffler. Remember, it was pinched between the muffler and this spool valve before. Coming around this side, just above the engine here, this is that L12 that we rerouted. This was coming down this way. We were able to get this hose have a much smoother bend in it. You can get a view of it from the side there. This is the hose. And on the inside, this is what our spool valves look like, all hooked up. Next up, we just need some new handles that'll come up higher and have like a nicer grip on them. And then she's ready to put into service. All right, let's get a quick demo of this thing. I'm gonna start her up. Bucket lift. Well, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. If you like this video and you wanna see more content like this, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. We got a lot more content coming. These videos are a lot of work, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Hope you guys are too. Leave me a comment if there's something you wanna see. You know, we've got a lot of projects in the shop as well as out on the property. Drop a comment, let me know what sounds interesting to you, and we'll see if we could get you some content like that. And that's all for now. We'll see you guys on the next one.